Welcome back to another episode of Home and Home. We appreciate you guys tuning into the More Important Issues Network here on YouTube or however you got here. Hopefully, you are following us on Twitter or X, if you call it that, if you're hip and in the now, or following us on Facebook. Make sure you like there. We're also on Instagram, and please like and subscribe on YouTube. Like this clip, maybe go back and like a few others, Home and Home, or a weekly episode on there. We always appreciate it. Make sure you guys are on this channel so that you can see everything we have up to date, latest interviews, latest Home and Home. You can catch us on Fox Sports Knox on Thursday nights or right here on Sunday nights. Make sure you guys are tuned in. And it's baseball season, so the bat flip on Monday night. You don't want to miss anything. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on the notifications. Why not? Do it. We appreciate you guys listening. Enjoy this episode of Home and Home.
Home run, slam dunks, give him six. Boys at MII, they got your big orange face. All year long is the place to be, to hear some balls for life, talking Tennessee. You can hate us if you want, but we sure ain't worried about you. We got more important issues.
Welcome back to another edition of Home and Home. This one on the More Important Issues channel. That's how you found us, probably, maybe. If you didn't, that's crazy, but welcome regardless. I'm Caleb Mitchell. Joining me always, Chase Thomas of the Chase Thomas Podcast. Thank you for hopping on, as always, and hope you're doing well. I know it's this crazy time of year, and Tony Vitello has subjected us, and Rick Barnes has subjected us to just mayhem in March, which is good. But it does make for a crazy start to spring.
It is a crazy start to spring. We do have a lot of crossover right now. Last week was hard with the Thursday, Friday, Saturday game schedule for Tennessee at Alabama. I'm glad that the Tony Vitello and the Vols are able to win 2 or 3. Got to watch Tegan Kuhns uninterrupted on Saturday, out here dealing his first extended start for the Vols. But yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have. There's a lot. I mean, the Lady Vols too. Like they win at Ohio State and give Ohio State their first home loss in the season, so they're still dancing. So we're kind of overwhelmed with content, and I think there's a lot of programs, a lot of fan bases that would like to be overwhelmed with things to talk about. I'm sure Georgia fans would like to, still be talking about basketball and along with their hot start to their baseball program. So I don't know. And then there's programs like A&M that would like to do anything other than talk about their college baseball program right now. So, hey, everything's good right now on Tennessee. So enjoy it. We are in, I would maybe argue, the best era Tennessee athletics will ever have in our lifetime.
As a group, I think so.
So I'm just enjoying, and I would encourage everybody else, just enjoy the ride and enjoy the stakes on Friday, because the stakes are at excruciatingly high Friday night against Kentucky. But that's what makes us fun. Sports is most fun when the stakes are high. That if you beat Kentucky, you'll feel on top of the world on Friday night and like, what a great win. And if you lose, it'll be devastating, but it's also like awesome. Like, because the devastating is good.
If the stakes aren't high, you never have a chance to experience what we did in June, for example, with Tennessee baseball.
The Alabama win in 2022.
Right. And as much as the Ohio State loss sucked this past season, this past December, it was also nice to just be able to say, no, and I don't think that should be what Tennessee yearns for, like they do the College World Series, but to at least say, hey, we were there and we got spanked and it sucked and it was miserable in that moment. But let's get there again. Let's experience it. Let's get a win. This, like you said, it's the best when the stakes are high. I don't want a Jeremy Pruitt, Owen, whatever, and then we're hoping we can get a win over Vanderbilt. The stakes are high for a completely different reason in that scenario, and I don't want that scenario. You don't want the stakes to be high in terms of the coach's job. That's not where you want them. I had someone mention to me today, I think it was, they were asking me how the women were doing, and so they beat Ohio State. They're on to the Sweet 16 as well. I'm like, Tennessee's kind of good in everything right now, right? I was like, yeah, and it's not always been. It's actually been the opposite sometimes in my lifetime. And so to have Tennessee kind of rolling, I mean, let's not forget swimming and diving, setting NCAA records this past winter. and you have softball. Monica Abbott held the previous record, but Tennessee now has the fastest fastball in baseball and softball newly established. So that's obviously that's not wins and losses, but that's cool. And so you have your name on the big stage there. It's a special time, like you said. Enjoy it. Obviously, we want to win on Friday. That's the most pressing matter right now. How would you let's go back? I don't want to start with Tennessee versus Kentucky. Obviously, we'll talk about it. How would you grade Tennessee's performance through the round of 32?
I mean, I think it's a solid A. I could even go A minus. It's definitely not an A plus, but it's somewhere in the A. Like they really just coasted and did what they needed to do against Wofford and UCLA. Wofford shot the ball pretty well, and Tennessee still it just neither game to me neither felt ever in doubt. Okay, that's a fun little sentence to say, but that's kind of how I felt about both games. And Tennessee closed really strong against UCLA in the end of the first half, and it just felt like the game was over. It just felt like that was the kind of close Tennessee needed, and they start off hot in the second half too to really. I think they got 15 as high as 15, I think, at that moment. And I don't know, just Tennessee's just they were going. It just felt inevitable. Like that weekend felt like an inevitable march to their third straight Sweet 16, and I don't know. I think Jordan Gainey was really good. Chaz Lanier obviously had tremendous first two games. Cade was great before he got into some foul trouble on Saturday. Jahmai.
Cade's been huge through both
Cade's
of these
been
rounds.
Great down the stretch.
I talked about it. I don't remember if we did or if it was just on one of our shows that Cade's Dubar is going to be an important piece at some point in this tournament. I kind of thought he would be already, but he's just not been needed, hadn't performed well in the few minutes he's gotten. But I knew Cade would be as well. And I kind of hope it's one of those you don't necessarily need him. You know, in these, however it works out, whether it's Friday or if you advance on Sunday, like I hope maybe Okpara can play really well and Igor, who's played okay. Igor's impacted the game, which I think you need, not necessarily in the scoring column altogether, but he's impacted the game. So maybe one of you get balance within the lineup, within the roster. But yeah, Cade's been huge, and you knew you needed him, and he stepped up in a massive way.
I mean, I think if it's not Igor, it has to be Dubar on Friday. I mean, we're going to get into the Kentucky game, but you saw how Igor played. Was it the first game against Kentucky or the second one that he really went off? I don't remember which one was which.
I think it was the one in Thompson Bowling Arena that he had 19. Okay. And I think part of that is everyone else seemed to really struggle. Zakai was 1 of 11 from 3 in that game. So I think it was that game that he had 19 in.
We've gone back and forth. I was talking to Aaron Gershon of Cats Pause 247 earlier today, previewing Kentucky, Tennessee. And one of the things that I can't shake is that, and I think, what was the stat? I think Kentucky's only been held under 70 points twice this year or something bonkers like that. And they obviously shot 50% from 3 both times Kentucky's played Tennessee this year. That is just a different kind of matchup. Like I just thought Tennessee matched up really well with Wofford and UCLA. Like I think Utah State would have been a worse matchup for Tennessee in the second round if that's who they had gotten, because I think they were 17th in KenPom in offensive efficiency, and Tennessee was right behind them there. So I think they would have given Tennessee more of a challenge in that game in the round of 32. Not saying Tennessee would have lost to the Aggies, but I think it would have been a more compelling game in the second half. I think Kentucky is just not a great matchup for Tennessee. Like I don't think it's something you want at all from the ball standpoint. It doesn't mean you run from the challenge. I mean, they are favored in the game, but they also have been swept for a reason. So I think to me, we'll know early on, I think on Friday, how this game's going to go, because I think it's going to require another big Chaz game. Like I don't think there's any chance for Tennessee to win if Chaz doesn't have 20 plus points.
I think that's every game. I think he has to have a big game every night in this tournament. No, really.
Well, if he doesn't, then that means Igor had a 20-7 type game. Like I think it's one of those, because Igor is good for that, like every 5 or so games. Like this might you talk about like if Dubar is a big factor here. I am curious because I think Igor is someone to just circle. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he had a great game against Kentucky on Friday. If there's ever a game for Igor to kind of go off and really help Tennessee get to that 70 to 75 number, man, it's Friday against Kentucky. I don't think there's a way around Tennessee having to hang with Kentucky offensively. It's not Tennessee's not bringing Kentucky down to the mud with them. I don't think that's going to happen in this game. I think they are going to be able to play their style, and that's how it's been the previous two matchups. Tennessee is going to have to win a couple times. I think Ryan Shepard made a good point about this on our show a couple days ago. Was it's not that you need they need to go 6 for 24 instead of 12 for 24. You need them to go 9 for 24 instead of 12 for 24, because that 3-point swing could be enough to be the difference in a win or loss. You know what I mean? Like in 3 points, 9 points, if you make those 3s, 2s, or they just miss them all together, that can swing the game, because I think the game will be close enough. But they're going to have to score. Like, I just don't see a scenario where Tennessee wins on Friday and they didn't have a great offensive night. Like, there's a lot of pressure on Tennessee's shooters, Zakai, to be aggressive like he was against UCLA. The shots are going to have to go up, man.
And that's where I think Igor's got to be, he's got to be a presence inside. He's got to be willing. You mentioned Tennessee bringing Kentucky into the mud like they want to with a lot of teams. I think Tennessee can, but they're going to have to do it not unconventional, because they do this with other teams, but they're going to have to focus on it on the offensive end. They're going to have to be willing to drive the ball and try to score at the basket. They've got to take good shots. They shot 45 threes in the first game, I think. That's because Kentucky gave it up. They said, shoot your way out of this one. And if Tennessee had just made 2 in that game, they win. But I think they can, and that's one thing I think Tennessee struggled with is getting key guys in foul trouble, identifying who's got 2 or who needs a foul to either get them off balance or get them off the court. And I think Tennessee can do that in this game. And I think it requires a big game from Jordan Gainey as well. He's your guy that can really put the ball on the floor and go to the hole and go hard. Sometimes maybe too hard, as we saw with that play against Auburn. Maybe shouldn't have gone up at that time, but he's the guy that does it, and I think he's going to have a big game too in this one. I'm with you. I don't see him being able to do it. This is a matchup nightmare for Tennessee. I don't see him being able to do it on the defensive end. It's a tough team to guard because of their lineup, and not that Tennessee can't do it. And you talked about Tennessee being able to hold, or who's held this team under 70, this Kentucky team. I can see Tennessee doing it in a game in March, especially. Those games can get weird. This is in Lucas Oil, which is stadiums are traditionally a hard place to shoot the ball, which I think bodes well for Tennessee. They're going to shoot the ball poorly no matter what, if history tells us anything against Kentucky. So this is obviously a very, very winnable game. Tennessee's got to do a lot right. And I think this is a big look in the mirror Rick Barnes game. I don't think he necessarily coached poorly in those 2 matchups. It's hard to win when your guys shoot that poorly. But I do think Mark Pope outcoached him in those 2 matchups. I think they had a better plan of action and executed it better than Tennessee. And I think Mark Pope's a good coach. From what we've seen on the court, he is far better than the Calipari they had the last 4 years. And so I think this is a big be better than Mark Pope game.
I think that's fair. Kentucky hasn't scored less than 70 points since Vanderbilt on January, January 25th, it looks like. And that was 69 points.
It is worth noting now it's not less than 70, but it was 78 and 75 in their previous matchups with Tennessee. So they're not, in their matchups, they're not scoring at astronomical rates against Tennessee either. So I don't think I think when you add in the stadium element, which I wish, I get why they do it to sell tickets, but apparently they're dropping the curtains in a lot of Lucas Oil. Well, why are we playing it there then? I don't really understand that. So I get it from an NCAA standpoint of tickets, but money's king. But if it continually produces a bad product, why would you do it? Everyone that plays in the stadium talks about how much it sucks. So I don't get it. I
think there was a scheduling conflict, if I remember, at Conseco Fieldhouse, whatever they call it now. Because I think you would do it there if you could. There had to be
cities in America though have why did they get the bid?
That I don't know. Not above my pay grade, Caleb.
I'm sorry. I won't ask you the tough questions. I apologize. What's the where did you have Tennessee going in your bracket that you filled out? How is, because I imagine, did you fill out your bracket as a Tennessee fan, or did you fill it out as a I want to produce the best bracket possible? I guess answer that question first, and then tell me how far you had Tennessee going.
So I'm a big proponent of like, hey, like let's not dump on other people's things that they enjoy. I think you probably know where I'm going with this. I hate filling out brackets.
Really?
Silly. It's so silly to me because I haven't watched a lot of these teams in depth. Like I don't
I
have
think
a strong.
that's the fun of it, though.
Not for me. Like as someone who, as a capital B, capital K ball knower, Caleb Mitchell, I don't like. It's like college football. The reason I loved filling out the bowl pick'em years ago, back when bowls mattered, was because I'd watched all these teams. I have studied and understood. Like I get the Phil Steele manual is like right next to me over here. Like I devour the Phil Steele manual when that comes in the summer, and I feel very strongly about my my ball knowing when it comes to college football, and just how much I watch of everybody and keep up with everybody. That like the bowl pick'em's fun. Like it's an intellectual exercise, I guess. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it, or I did back when it mattered. College basketball, it's just like I've watched zero of Wright State. I have no takes on St. Francis. I don't know what, like, I can go through some KenPom stuff. I keep up with that. I read the stuff I need to read, but like there's just too many teams. Like it's so overwhelming with how many teams there are that like I don't have time to watch all of them.
I think I think that's the fun of it, because, for example, Wofford was the 4 seed in the SoCon. So if you're trying to even prep for knowing the small teams, knowing the FCS in football teams, the ones that are auto bid leagues, it's hard to even key in on who to watch. No one was, if they set aside, at the end of February there to try to, all right, let me pick out 2 or 3 teams from each league. Wofford didn't make that list. And so I don't know. I think that makes it interesting. And yeah, you don't watch these teams in depth, but you may have ended up watching a Norfolk State game in November, whether they played your team or they were just on a Tuesday night or something. And then you get the random, the Jack Golke story from 2 years ago. Is that 2 years ago?
Who was that?
Jack Golke for Oakland. The dude.
That was last year.
That was last year?
Kentucky.
Golly,
yeah.
That was last year. I almost said last year. I saw a video of him, and I don't know, it felt like 5 years ago when I saw it, honestly.
That's what I saw when I saw some Adam Morrison thing, and I'm like, Morrison, that was what, like 5 years ago? Adam Morrison.
Oh gosh, dude. I felt like I was a child watching him, and I virtually was, because that was probably like 07, 09.
Dude, he's 40. I can't stand it. Like,
what year did he graduate college?
I can't stand it. 2006 is when that happened, man.
No, I knew he was in one of the NCAA basketball games.
He's fun to watch. Adam Morrison was a bucket. People forget. But I will say, to answer your original question, I have Tennessee in the Final Four. I love their bracket. I like their region, I should say. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on like what would be better to get.
I do too, and I think this is the worst game in there. Like this is a bad matchup. And I think it's easy from like a Kentucky standpoint or a neutral standpoint to go, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. But from a Tennessee purely fan perspective, it's also really hard to go, we'll beat this team that we've lost to twice. Like that's a challenging thing to think. Not that I don't think we can, but you've had 2 chances at it and you failed.
And I do think it's silly when people are like, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. It's like, no, it's not. It happens in baseball all the time. Like if Tennessee played Mississippi State 7 times in a row, like 7 weeks in a row, Tennessee would have beaten Mississippi State 7 consecutive weeks.
I think it's hard to beat a good team.
Maybe matchups are matchups. I don't know. I think it's just kind of overblown.
I think baseball's different because any given night you're seeing obviously not a different team, but the most important, I know from sports it's hard to key in on who the most important part is, but 50% of the game is a person you didn't see the night before. The pitcher.
Yeah.
Minimum 50%. I think baseball is a little bit different than basketball, where your starting 5 is almost always the same. Football, starting 11 is almost always the same. And I think it's just hard when baseball has its own, like, I think it's probably more, when they talk about chess matches with football coaches, I think that like baseball is more of a chess match where the coaches are just they get to move like they're so integral in where they get to move people in the lineup, whether it be each at bat or however that works out. And football and basketball and baseball, or football, basketball, and I'm thinking soccer is always just a little bit different where it's like you don't get that opportunity to just put guys there. Like they've got it. And I think in those sports, it's really, really challenging to beat great teams twice, 3 times. If you somehow see them a 4th time, with conference tournaments or whatever, I think each, in a way, each match, each game feels like a new one in that it's similar to halftime adjustments. Do you want to over adjust? Do you want to account for their adjustment? Or do you do it? Like you got to find middle ground. You can't not change anything just because you're winning or you won, but you also don't want to over adjust because what you did worked. And so I think it's like an interesting balance of trying to do it. Yeah. When it's not great teams, you beat them however many times you want.
And then when it's Kentucky football, like Tennessee's always going to be Kentucky football. Like that game,
Yeah.
it commit the quarterback changes, the offensive coordinator changes, the result's the same. Tennessee's going to be Kentucky in football.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given. Until Tennessee changes its colors,
don't throw that out in the atmosphere.
Well, it's just orange beats blue. That's
Well,
that's
hold on.
pretty...
We saw the new Tennessee baseball uniforms. Like let's not throw stuff out in the atmosphere of like, hey, what if they did X, Y, and Z to the uniforms or color scheme? Let's not do that.
Hot take. What I hate is it's one of those things like why don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah.
But I think the new creams look great. I'm looking at the new pinstripes right now. I think they look great. I think the white with the orange piping looks better on the field. I still don't love it, but I think it looks good on the field.
It looks like a jersey. Like it just looks so.
I think that's the worst one.
Yeah,
but I
would
think
agree with that.
I think it looks good on the field.
Cream
Like,
can't
I'm
be
okay
worn
with
again
it.
because of the circumstance that it was first unveiled.
I wish it didn't replace such a good jersey, but that is one of my favorite ball baseball.
Yeah, like
jerseys
that
right now.
one. If they had gotten rid of the Sunday creams altogether, I would have.
I would have rioted.
Like
I would have been
what are
calling
we
for
doing?
Martello's job.
Like, what are we doing? The only thing they actually really needed to get rid of was the pajama charcoal grays. Like those are the only ones that just are not good because you actually have a great alternative in the 90s. If you look at those pinstripe grays and Chad Fields, I think
The
on
sleeveless
Twitter,
ones.
yes, like just do that.
Love them, dude.
Do a vintage version
love
of that. Like
sleeveless
those are
jerseys.
great. Just do that.
Sleeveless baseball jerseys rock.
But also just those great. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like I think it was the 1990s.
The Todd Helton, or I know I've
Yes.
seen Chris Burke in them. Seen
Yeah.
pictures of him in them. I
Just
think
do that. Those look good, and you don't have to go full charcoal gray or smoky gray, and just light it up a little bit. And those are your road. You replace the road uniforms.
they did need to change the pinstripes for the sole reason, not the look of them. They did need to change them for the sole reason of the uniform itself was very heavy, so the players didn't like wearing them. That's a little inside knowledge that.
Is that why they like wearing the pullovers more?
Well, every other jersey they liked the feel of, but apparently those pinstripes were just super heavy. The old ones
Interesting.
that had the UT on the chest.
Yeah, I could see that. But okay, so I'm looking at the one with Helton here from the 90s with the black hat, the black vintage. Yep. I mean, this should be the primary road uniform for Tennessee. It's so clean, and you have Tennessee balls right there in orange, and the black pinch, like the black hat, all of it, just chef's kiss. It's just perfect.
No, I agree, but it is, again, going back into. I saw a video with Jim Tressel that I'm gonna have to read this book. I can't remember what it was called. Did you see this clip going around? I think he has a podcast, by the way.
I just assume everybody has a podcast.
Yeah, right. But it's kind of crazy. Like he just seems so old, but he looks, spry.
Well, he got out earlier than you would think.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure he let when he was he fired or did he technically retire? I don't remember.
I think he technically retired, but I think it was a Phil Fulmer firing. I'll call it.
Yeah, he's only 72.
I can't remember.
He must have been what, 60 or
that's Nick Saban's age.
late 50s?
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah.
I know he coached at Youngstown prior to Ohio
Mm.
State. Did he also coach after? Because you
I
had
don't think so. Because I think he
you
was the
had
AD
Bo.
or something at Youngstown, or
Okay.
president. He
Because
was
you had
also
Bo Pelini go from Youngstown to Nebraska, or I don't know how the path to get to Nebraska worked, and then coached at Youngstown again after. I
yeah.
didn't know if he was the same way or
I'm not sure.
not. But he talked about a book they would read after every season at Ohio State, whether they won the national championship or they lost, however they lost. And I'm blanking on the name of the book, but the gist of it was if it's not broken, fix it. Like, just because everything's going well doesn't mean we can't get better, kind of deal. Maybe that's where we are with Tennessee's uniforms, baseball uniforms, because I think they look good, but it does hurt to see some of the better ones of recent.
You're not gonna get me on this,
memory.
Caleb.
I hate the black.
I appreciate
hate the
you
black
trying.
balls.
Jim Tressel or not, I respect the winning history of Jim Tressel. Shout out to Craig Krenzel, who his son is playing for Tennessee, and he was a Jim Tressel guy back in the day. But yeah, no, can't do it. Like, the cream uniforms are great. The orange with the Vols lettering is perfect. I don't love the black Vols uniform because there is a better version in the 1990s of those.
I hate them. I hate that Vols lettering so much. That Nike font, I hate it. I mean, it makes me want to. My family's learning, and the people that get me gifts are learning. It has been a long, long time since I've gotten any apparel or gifts with that lettering, with that font on it.
Is that worse than the Smokey, like the cartoonish Smokey?
Not worse, but I think they're synonymous with one another.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The cartoons.
Oh, brother, I know what you're talking about. I mean, I could, if I had the opportunity to wipe that image off the face of the earth, I would take it.
What is your favorite logo? If you could have, like, mine's just the vintage UT.
I love the interlocking UT.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I love that one. Rifleman. I love the Rifleman. I really like that's starting to make a comeback. It's like the Smokey with the big shoulders, walking like puffed out. Okay. I love that logo. The Power Tee's a classic. I mean, it does not miss.
It's just something you take for granted.
Yeah. You kind of like, you don't realize how good of a logo that is when it's always there. But it's one of those, like,
yes, the vintage Smokey, by the way. That's what I thought you were talking about. Fantastic. I love vintage Smokey. Home Field does some great vintage Smokey stuff with this. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the original Smokey mascot?
I believe so.
I don't know if you have, if you're that calm, cool, and collected about it.
I mean, is it?
It was like the human mascot, Smokey. Have you ever seen the original?
Oh, no. I thought you meant like the first, like, Smokey when he won and all that. Okay,
no. It is something from a horror movie.
I'm looking at him now.
Yeah,
that's brutal. This is not going to work. This is
I love that it's all orange too. Like, that rocks. It's like, it's a dog, but also not, because it's all orange.
No, this is not going to work. Absolutely not.
It's one of my favorite things that not a lot of people know about.
That doesn't even look like a dog.
No, not at all. I mean,
I don't know what that is, but it's not a dog.
That was sewn together in a frat basement and used for hazing. Like, that's how
this
it came
to
be.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I'd never seen him before.
This
is not going to work, man.
When you wake up screaming at night,
this is like a Skarsgård situation. Like, this is not going to work, man. Oof. I already watched the new Final Destination movie trailer today, and now I have this added to my plate.
We've come a long way. No longer one of the more. It's kind of crazy. Tennessee's got such an iconic mascot, yet it's a dog.
Yeah,
which is very common. But there are a lot of people who know exactly who Smokey is just seeing that head, which is awesome.
Not Charles Barkley.
What did he? I missed this. What did he do?
I think they were on. I'm pretty sure it was Barkley and a couple other people. They put up Smokey. I think Ernie Johnson put up Smokey on the pregame, postgame, whatever it was. But I think it was for the tournament. Okay, there's so much blending because they're on the broadcasts for both now, and I don't know which one it was on, if it was for an NBA or NCAA game. But they were trying to figure out who it was, and they could not think of the name of Smokey and what his name was, and they just put him up on the broadcast, like, oh, it's Tennessee's mascot, and they were trying different names.
But he knew it was Tennessee's. I think that's the.
Well, I think he said it was Tennessee's. Like,
if he knew it was Tennessee's, that's like, I think everyone getting the name, I think would be difficult, but I think everyone would see that head and be like, "That's Tennessee." Whereas I could see Mississippi State's. That might be Butler. That might
What is
be
Mississippi State's?
they're Bulldogs.
No, I meant like the
Oh,
name.
I don't know his
Does he
name.
have a name?
I don't know.
He's got
I
a
mean,
name, right?
and Texas A&M, the Aggies, they have a dog that is also their highest ranking member of the cadets, which is absurd. I love Smokey, but
well,
I'm
I
not
also
gonna
never
go-
understood like the Tigers with the War Eagle part of it.
I know there's history there, but it's very stupid.
But it's cool. Like I see the eagle fly in. It's cool.
I mean, I think that's probably what happened is they were tigers and they're like, yeah, but what if we had an eagle fly? And like, yeah, let's do it. Were we going to change our mascot? Well, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're talking about
what's the collie's name? Man, I don't remember. This is bad. I only know Uga and Smokey off the top of my head. This is bad. Albert the Gator.
Yeah. You have Truman is the tiger at Missouri.
That's a great pool.
LSU is Mike. Ole Miss used to be, I think, Reb.
Yeah. What was the shark's name? They did the shark for a little bit.
Did they? I'm sure they gave the shark a name. Probably Marshall or something.
They should bring back the shark.
Yeah. South Carolina is Sir something. That's a new thing. The Gamecock has a name.
Oh, Spur. They changed it, didn't they?
Sir Spur. Is that what it is?
They changed his name because it was. Didn't they have like a contest to hold like what his new name was going to be?
Yeah, I think that was when they got the new one, which I can't think about. That's the live mascot. I don't know what the. And I had a buddy I grew up with who was
the general.
Mascot of South Carolina.
He was Sir Big Spur, and now he's the general.
Sir Big Spur is way better.
Yeah. The general. I don't know. Yeah.
Trying to think of the schools I'm missing. I don't know. I know they have a junior cat at Kentucky that has an awful name. I think the other cat is Scratch'em. The main cat is Scratch'em.
Yeah, you're right. Here's Scratch. There's Scratch from Kentucky. Rebel is Texas A&M's collie.
That is a good dog name, especially for one that is an enlisted member of the Corps Cadets.
Sue E. Pig doesn't work. This is
that. Yeah,
that doesn't work. Tony the Land Shark was his name. See, like that.
Tony, that's so bad.
I don't know. The Land Shark.
That's awful.
I thought the Land Shark was great.
Auburn's is Aubie.
Yes.
Al is the elephant at Alabama.
Bevo.
Oklahoma. I don't think they have a live mascot other than the wagon.
Yeah. Dysentery.
Yep.
Pork Chop. Who's Pork Chop? Oh, it's
Pork Chop is the live mascot, I believe, for Arkansas.
Do they have a live?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They got a live hog.
That's when you don't. Whatever. You don't want to run into a wild hog out in the woods.
No, absolutely not.
Like they're gigantic. Like they're some big ones, especially in North Georgia mountains. Man.
Yeah. They're this is for everyone, but for you as well, Chase. And if you guys, it's fun. It's a fun interview, and we're gonna have him on again one day. But I have a good friend of mine who was Smokey from 2000 to 2004. He was Smokey for the Tennessee Volunteers. Since then, he's gone on to be NJ Devil, which is the New Jersey Devils mascot. Mm-hmm. Here's a fun fact that you can find out in the podcast and get the kind of history of it. Prior to him being NJ Devil, the NJ did not have a number, and he said he's a member of the team. He needs a number, and he said he needs to wear 00, and he did that because that's what Smokey wears. So NJ Devil wears number 00 because of Smokey.
Interesting.
Fun fact. And I did change that Wikipedia article and tried to use our clip as a source, and I think it got taken off. But it's true from the horse's mouth. But yeah, so that's we're big mascot guys. I try to stay up in the mascot lore, and I try to know what's going on. I think Michigan State's mascot won the mascot championships this year. I think it was Michigan State.
Good Lord. Was this on ESPN 8 The Ocho?
It's in, I'm sure, because it's in the same championship as they do like the cheerleading world championships.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm sure. Yeah. I would love to go one year. It looks like a great time.
I said
the mascot one.
It's cold in here.
Yeah.
There must be some clovers.
A lot of that.
The atmosphere. Yeah.
A lot of that. You should, if you have any interest in mascots, you should go watch their routines at championships.
Yeah.
Because it is all obviously mimed. Like there's obviously no speaking and it's all music, dubbed over their routine. There's dudes doing backflips in full mascot outfit. Like these dudes are athletic, and girls. That was a neutral pronoun, dudes. But yeah, it's pretty impressive what some of them can do.
Yeah, they're talented and stuff. I can't, like, not even a little bit. Like, I was the physical therapist a couple weeks ago, and he's like, it's unbelievable how bad you are, how stiff you are, and how just no stretching. Like, the presidential test was one of the more humbling things in middle school, just being like, you have to be able to lean further than that. No, I can't.
Not gonna happen.
It's not happening.
Yeah,
and you gotta get involved in the Smokey. Have you heard anything through the grapevine? Like, how is he doing? Is he back?
Oh, I do need to. That's live mascots. I don't dabble as much in that as I do the.
You're not a live mascot connoisseur.
I'll give my last fun fact for Smokey that again you can learn on this one. Every year they send, because they have usually 2-3 mascots, and they send you to a camp when you become Smokey, where you learn how to act like Smokey. Like they teach you how to. This is something you now are going to notice, and it's cool when you realize it. They teach everyone to walk exactly how Smokey walks. So you can never know who it is in it. And then when you watch Smokey like move around, you're like, yeah, it's usually a different one each time you see them, and they walk the exact same. Yeah.
Interesting. Wonder if that carries over in his personal life. They're like, what's up with him? Why is he walking like that? And it's like,
yeah, you got to get fully immersed.
Yeah. Like he's like the Daniel Day-Lewis of mascots, where he's just like, he really is in character all the time. And he hasn't been able to shake it. That could be a great spinoff.
Well, you're gonna love this. There is a Hulu series that follows around mascots, and
I remember this. Oh, I never
great.
watched it. I know what you're talking about.
It is.
I think it might just be called Mascots.
I think it is, and it's very interesting. Like lives you did not know existed in this world.
Is it based on a true story?
Oh, it's a reality show. It follows these real people around. And it's really neat. These people are very interesting. I'm going to use the word weird, and I use weird as like when I say someone's weird and I'm not hating on them, I find them like really cool. And these people have dedicated their lives to this very strange thing of living in a world of like where they're unknown. But it's also the reason I say like, especially in this scenario, like weird is a compliment. Like they find like new lives within these mascots. Like there's like one person who's like straight up honest, like I do not like who I am unless I'm in this mascot outfit. Like I feel like people like me, and it's really cool. There are some interesting fellows on there, but it's a really cool show. I think I haven't watched the last season actually, but yeah, that's mascot talk. Welcome.
That's cool, man. I might check it out too.
Live mascots are awesome. They're just fascinating creatures.
Make everything fun. It's like the band and all that kind of stuff. It's like they're all involved in the pageantry of what makes it great.
That obviously mascots is part of that. College, when I try to explain, people are like, why do you like college football so much better than the NFL? And it is, I will tell you every day of the week, college basketball, college football, it is not a better product than its professional counterpart. Not even close. And no, in terms of like the players on the field, like the talent.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the product as a whole, the season as a whole, the individual games, like what I enjoy watching more, college football, 100%. And it's because of the unknown, like each player, the unknown, but then you add in the fans, the band, the weird mascots that people have come up with over time that has resulted in what we like. The college athletics as a whole is just, and it's so unique to the United States. There's nothing like it anywhere else in the world. Maybe the closest you can get is like African rugby, where you see these like boarding schools playing rugby and the students all show up. Like that's probably the closest thing.
I don't think I've ever watched a rugby match ever.
Oh, it's especially sevens is fun to watch. 15s is tough. I
think I went to a high school one. Our high school had like club rugby or something, and I got dragged to a match one time, and I was like, this is not for me. It's like watching UFC for me for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, this is not gonna work for me. This is not my wheelhouse.
Our high school had a very good rugby team. Several times.
You were about to say like we had a great UFC ring. It got pretty crazy.
Several state championships, and we actually have a guy who there's a professional rugby league in the United States, believe it or not, and he has been a part of some U.S. national team squads. Was an alternate for the 2018 Olympics in Sochi. Shout out to Harley Wheeler. He's playing for the New Orleans team rugby. But yeah, and it used to be it's kind of non-existent because it was a club sport. But it used to be a really, really great program at South Doyle, rugby program.
I feel like I was more better suited for fencing, Caleb.
I was always told I would. There was a guy who coached rugby who was he's my freshman football coach, and I played soccer as well. And the challenging part for rugby coaches, from what I've been told, is there is an element in rugby of kicking, obviously, and it's super advantageous. Like you can be really, really good if you have people who can kick the ball well. And so he always begged me to play rugby. And looking back, I wish I played sevens. 15's not for me. I don't need to get hit that many times. But sevens is like, it's almost like watching backyard football. Like it's a lot of just like chasing people down kind of stuff. And the free movement also reminds me of backyard football where you're drawing plays on your hands type deal. But yeah, that's other than that, I have no desire to play rugby. I don't need those injuries.
How old are you now, Caleb?
I will be 30 this year.
Okay. Well, happy early birthday. As someone who's now very much in his 30s, it's great. And embrace your 30s. But yeah, everything starts hurting. Everything.
I don't know if you're a Friends fan. I'm thinking Joey when he's yelling at his 30th birthday. Why God, not me?
No.
Said you could take them, but not me.
No, it's fantastic. 30s are better.
I felt
30s are better.
For a long time.
I promise it's better.
This stuff.
Oh, I mean, I'm right there with you. What do you mean? Like, who cares? Like,
I do not mind.
Like, it's fine. Like, it's just you know who you are. You're really settled in. There's not a lot of change. Like, you change a lot from like 20 to 24, 24 to 29, 30 to 32, 32 to 34. It's not like you are who you are at a certain point. It's just nice. Like you're just. You like some chamomile tea at night, Caleb, and you don't know when that started. You like a good weighted blanket. You don't like loud noises. You want to get in and out of a restaurant pretty early. It's just it happens quick, but it's embrace the quiet life of your 30s.
Oh, I'm a homebody, man. You don't have to convince me of it. I can stay home every night of the week without a second thought.
It'll be great. I promise. Don't run from your 30s. It'll be fine.
I'm running to my 40s, brother. 50s. Whenever I can retire. That's every morning I wake up, do a quick calculation on my phone on when I can retire. It seems the date is getting farther and farther away, but
hey, day at a time, man.
I tell my boss every day, I'm like, I thought about when I could retire today. It's not soon. Don't worry.
Officially, I have Tennessee winning on Friday over Kentucky. Caleb Mitchell as we wrap up here tonight. What do you have? Do you think Tennessee wins?
I think a lot has to go right. And as a fan, I really want to say Tennessee wins. I think this is going to be I think this will be a slugfest of physicality. I think we've seen where the officials kind of let the game go in the second half. So if they can weather the storm in the first half, keep Jemai out of foul trouble, keep Zakai, keep Chaz out of foul trouble, that puts Tennessee in a really good position for you to really just play your brand of basketball in the second half. I have Tennessee advancing in my bracket. I have Tennessee. I did have them beating Illinois. Actually, no, I've got them beating Kentucky in my written bracket, which is my premier one. And yeah, I think Tennessee wins it handily. Hopefully not at the buzzer. I don't know if I can hang on for that long. I might break down before that.
I think it's going to come out of the final possession either way.
I think
don't think anyone who's hoping for a stress-free game on either end, it's not.
I don't need a stress-free 40 minutes, but like 3 minutes wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who do you have winning it all then? Since you didn't fill out a bracket, who have you just had in your mind? Like, I mean, you've now seen all the teams play.
I mean, I still just think it's gonna be Auburn. could be wrong. I still think it's Auburn.
See, for the
I think
last
it's
2
Auburn
weeks,
or Duke still.
I
I
thought
still
it's
think it's Auburn
Florida.
or Duke. Sorry, I didn't say. What'd you say?
For the last 2 weeks, I've had Florida
I
as my
just think it's
favorite.
too convenient. Like maybe they build off of it and they run the gauntlet and everything else, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be really
That win over
hard.
UConn.
It's a good win. I mean,
I think
Florida would probably be
UConn.
the third least surprising to me.
I think Auburn, the way they played right now, would be. I mean, I think they're in for it if they make it to the Final Four. If Michigan State makes the Final Four, I think that'll be an interesting test.
I mean, Duke's probably the favorite though, right? I don't know. Cooper
Duke,
Flag. I don't know if anyone has anything to do with a healthy Cooper Flag. I just think he's.
I think Duke kind of got the. They didn't get the shaft. I don't think they have the worst one, but I think their next few games could be some of the tougher, other than Michigan State if Auburn gets there. I mean, there's a chance Florida could be playing like a very good chance they could be playing a 10 seed in the Elite Eight.
Yeah. I just want Tennessee in the Final Four. I don't really care. I just want.
I really like. I don't think you understand how bad I want a national championship. I mean, baseballs was a lot. So my sports, I don't know how your Tennessee sports especially go. I guess you can rank them for me, but mine is football, basketball, baseball, and I love baseball. And it's been a ton of fun the last few. Like, I mean, that baseball national championship was awesome, super special. I want a basketball one.
I would say I'll say football distant first, then baseball, then basketball. But I think baseball and basketball are close.
And I don't know, and it's probably you just grew up. I didn't grow up a big baseball fan. Like it just wasn't.
I just think you naturally like
football and basketball.
Yeah, I could understand that. I don't know. I think baseball. It's so rewarding winning a baseball national championship because you just put so much time and equity into it.
Sure.
And to see a team rise and grow the way Tennessee baseball did, and the program just blossom the way it did. I don't know. It's just different. Like it's a different type of feel, and you spend a lot of time with these guys. Like you spend a lot of time fans at the games. Like it's just different. Like I think it's just more. I don't know. It's kind of like a family. Like it just feels like you're just it's different. It feels more like football to me than basketball. Does that make sense? Where going to Tennessee baseball games feels more like going to a Tennessee football game than basketball to me.
I think probably, I don't know about close to football. I think it's its own unique feeling that I think could leave Tennessee soon just because the stadium's getting bigger, the crowds are getting bigger.
Yeah.
The guys' names are getting bigger. Like I think that close atmosphere could leave Tennessee soon if it's not kind of like, I think Tennessee baseball itself should really try to hold on to that. And I don't know if it's anything they can do, so I don't want to sound like I'm blaming them, but I think it is a really, really unique atmosphere for premier SEC college athletics that they've created. Yeah. And it is very special. And I think that's part of what, because we talked about trading it. Like we always joked we'd trade a baseball national championship for a football one. Then we got it, and I was like, that was a ton of fun. I don't think I'd trade anything for it. Like I don't think there's a championship I'd trade.
I mean, it's still like football would still hit the hardest. Like that's just like it's just not
right.
It's still just not close. Like it's just.
I just don't know if I'd trade it because like that was awesome.
Yeah.
Would I trade an Omaha appearance for it? Without a second thought. I mean, burn Omaha to the ground for all I'm concerned when it comes to that. But I don't know. Just that the gay. Here's something you'll never get with football. Again, going into that atmosphere, the Gay Street Parade was one of the coolest things I've seen. Could they do that for football? I mean, there would be people trampled in the street to line up for a football national championship.
It would be like
they would have to take
it
it
would
down
be the Eagles
I-40.
the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl celebration.
Yeah. They would have to block off every single lane except for the one the bus came down on I-40 for a Tennessee.
Because people would come in, like there'd be Tennessee fans from all over who would fly in and drive in for it. Like
absolutely, but it's also like the coolness of them going down this main street in Knoxville, Tennessee, and all the people that were out for it. Like it was super neat. It felt like a hometown high school football team.
Yeah.
If you can find it on Twitter, maybe I can try to find it and send it to you. I think it was South Pittsburgh won in 2022 or 2023, won a state championship in football. They drove home and they had to stop the buses a mile away from their locker room so they could get back. The street was blocked off. It's so cool. Like that's what it felt like.
That's some Friday Night Light stuff that you just.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, South Pittsburgh does a lot of recruiting, so not necessarily won it fairly, but
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I think that coach that maybe not. They had some interesting stuff. They had a coach leave midseason a few years ago, Chase, to go to be an offense coordinator in the CFL midseason. Might have been that coach. I can't remember, but yeah.
Throwing heat here to wrap up here tonight, Caleb.
I like South Pittsburgh. I have no knocks on them.
But you're a South Doyle guy.
Oh, through and through.
Keys all the way.
Every night of the week. They won a state championship last season in soccer. That was awesome.
Yeah. They have a cool walk up.
Was,
they come out from the side for football, where they come out down the hill.
Down the hill. I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think
Did they drop it?
That.
Yeah, like 2 years ago they were doing it. 3, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, probably. The problem is it looks really cool, but then when you get later into the season, it's very dark on that hill. So I mean, they could do some stuff to make that better.
Yeah.
They tried some stuff. Like when I was in school, they had like, the dry ice, the fog, and like they tried it, and it's just like it was never as good, I think, as it could. Like I think they could invest some into that if they wanted to, and make they'd have a cool one. They don't have to put as much money as Anderson County does into theirs, but just a little bit of investment, I think, could make it a lot neater. It is a cool high school football atmosphere, especially when they're good. They've struggled as of late, but we'll weather it. We'll get back one day.
That sounds like a booster. Like this sounds like a South Doyle booster right here. Like, we'll get back.
I don't have the money to be a booster, but
that's something. Hey, you talk about retirement. Maybe that's what you're working towards. Like South Doyle booster.
I think that's like
power player.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, like I would make South Doyle Friday Night Lights if I won the lottery. Like I'd be Buddy Garrity.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be fun. Buddy Garrity had a good time, man.
And they're like, you have billions of dollars, you wouldn't go do it at Tennessee? No, they can win without me.
Yeah,
you don't need me.
I want to create.
I don't believe in recruiting at the high school level for a lot of moral reasons, buddy. We would be the IMG of Knoxville. I mean, it wouldn't be questioned. We'd have dorms on campus all of a sudden.
I don't think beliefs, this is legal. If I'm in charge, those beliefs are out the window. It's win at all costs.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it would be off the charts. The walk-in would be, I promise you, the coolest walk-in in all of athletics.
It's like, are we at is this Top Gun 3 or a South Doyle football game?
Yeah, we'd be taking on like 1A Greenback, and it would be nuts. Another state champion I just mentioned. Probably would be nuts. I do want to ask you about baseball real quick before we get out of here. Tennessee obviously took 2 on the chin last week. 1 to in-state foe ETSU. Go Bucks, except that night. And then 1 to Alabama. They do get the series win. What's your kind of just? I know it's a loss in March. Kind of just shake it off and move on. Anything from this week though, like you want to know whether it be good? It could be like, hey, that characteristic, that trait's gonna win them and take them deep. Or is there something you're like, they need to really get this figured out before May rolls around?
I mean, I think Tegan showed that he can be that third starter. They kind of let him work a little bit longer as AJ's still out, and we'll see if and when AJ's back and gets an opportunity. But this is a better case scenario if Tegan just shoving and becoming Blade Tidwell 2.0 for you in that Sunday spot. I think is huge for them. Tanner Franklin got back on track, so I think that was big. They needed him to get his confidence back this week. Dylan Loy, maybe your best bullpen arm outside of Nate Snead. Like those two are just so different, but also Loy is just like, he's such a good alternative to what you're throwing with just so much high velo guys. And then Loy comes in and as a lefty and not as hard of a thrower. He's also just more advanced. Like this Kirby, Binky to me feels more like Kirby in terms of like he can get you a couple outs and then get out of and pitch him a lot and get him out. But like Loy, it could be a weekend starter, and he'd be a weekend starter at a lot of other schools. Like I think he's just someone who can do a lot more for Tennessee. I think he just has a higher ceiling. But I think the only thing that really worries me is the Gavin Keelan hamstring stuff. Like I'm curious how long they keep him out or what that looks like because he's your best hitter. So we'll see what that ultimately means because Keelan's been on fire, 10 home runs to start off. And I guess maybe Cannon Peebles, like, is that ever going to really work? Because now we have almost 2 years of at bats where it just hasn't, for whatever reason, worked out the way it did his freshman year at NC State. Does that mean you just give Stone Lawless more and more opportunities in the weekend? Does he get 2 weekend starts and Cannon goes to 1? I don't know. I kind of wonder what that looks like for Cannon over the next couple weeks, because I think Tennessee could really use him getting back on track and hitting with some consistency, because Dalton Bargo mashed. I know he mashed out of the gate here tonight, so he's picking things up. But yeah, I don't know. I guess, and then the other thing I'll throw out, Ariel is just so clean at short. Like Ariel is just like, what does he do with Keelan out? Because he's going to play a lot more. Does he find a way to like push it? Like, he's just so good defensively and hits just enough.
And that's all we need. We need him to just hit enough. Like,
but who does, like, does that hurt Manny Marin? Like, when Keelan comes back? Like, I don't know. Like, there's
I don't make it a battle. I don't make it a tough choice on Vitello, though. That's
like, I don't know what you do.
Yeah. And I think that's the interesting, is like they clearly don't have it they don't have it figured out, in the sense of like, they're not playing their best right now.
Well, Levi Clark's falling off the cliff a little bit, too.
Which kind of, you were hoping he wouldn't hit.
And to be fair, it's normal. Like, Dean went through this. Like, it's just, he's a true freshman. It's now SEC pitching. Like, it's just
and there was a hope that it wouldn't happen, but you expected a little bit of an SEC wall there. Can he get over it? How soon can he get over it? But I mean, they've got a lot of time to figure it out. I think, especially you mentioned the pitching. I think there's so many pieces there that I think it's really more about finding the consistency in it. Like, who are your guys you can go to anytime. And that's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a thing Tennessee doesn't have come April, May. And we'll obviously see. And it's just so early in the baseball season. It's like, number one, the ETSU loss, it was going to come eventually. I'm glad the first loss came at the hands of them instead of Alabama, if we're talking like how we want it to occur. Tennessee, I mean, and I think that's another note. Yeah, you don't want to drop one, but you also won the series, and that's obviously the more important factor there. And this team they are down 3-2 right now to Queens. I have it on, but I haven't been watching, but I've seen some unfortunate plays for Tennessee that have maybe allowed this Queens to take the lead. So we'll see if they kind of clean this up.
Wait, did Queens take the lead?
It's 3-2. Yeah. I think we advanced runners. I don't know if they scored. I think they advanced runners on a I don't know if it was a wild pitch or if it was we were trying to throw someone out a second. I'm not sure how it occurred. I saw the ball get away, but I glanced. So some things to clean up. It is a weeknight or a midweek game. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not worried about, I mean, people can be upset. I love the coaching on Twitter of this team. If there's any staff on campus to never question, it's those dudes. I
don't know, man. I think it's a big year for Tony Vitello and proof of concept at Tennessee, Caleb.
Everyone knows that you got to thank the previous coach if you win a championship in year 7. He got those guys there. He's the one who brought it around. You're kind of just living off someone else's.
Is this defensive run from Rick Barnes sustainable at Tennessee? Who's to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's 3. You mentioned it, 3 Sweet 16s, which I get. We want more, right? Like, you want to be a premier college basketball program, but I think it's pretty unfair to anybody, to us as Tennessee fans, to the players, to Rick Barnes, to just imagine that like this success is going to happen overnight. And listen, like, I'm sure South Carolina loves that Final Four run they had under Frank Martin, but they don't get credit for that one Final Four run because they've sucked ever since. So let's not pretend we'd trade one Final Four run for the sustained success Rick Barnes has had. Like, that's absurd. I'm sure Lamont Paris can go into houses and recruit on that one. I'm sure.
Yeah, I would much rather be in Tennessee's situation than South Carolina.
Well, they've got a Final Four banner chase. I think you better think twice about that.
Yeah, just me.
We drug this one out enough that I don't have to talk about spring practice, and that's always my goal because I would like to pretend, like a lot of programs in this country, pretend spring practice doesn't exist. They don't care. They're just. I think everyone's just trying to get through that injury, right? Is that?
I mean,
fair?
I would watch every minute of spring practice if I could. Like, I'd be there the whole time.
If I got to see every single second of it, yes, it would become a lot more interesting to me.
Like, I would bring my master's chair. Got there last year. I would put it down and I would pop a LaCroix, and I'm a Yeti with my Folgers coffee, and I'm posted up all day long. I'm totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah, no. If I got to see every single second, if spring scrimmage was an actual scrimmage, or if it was an actual practice, like they didn't do all that bull crap, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's the speculation that I'm like, I don't know. I've seen enough times where I hear a ton about a guy and then he falls off the face of the earth and I forget he existed.
Do we get
until
Tennessee
he transfers
versus Ole Miss at Splash Mountain in Sevierville? Maybe that's something we can do.
Soaky Mountain, brother.
Soaky Mountain. What did I say? It. Splash Mountain? Yeah. Soaky Mountain. Excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
Who says no? Water balloon.
I'm trying to think what Lane Kiffin would have to say about it.
Goodness gracious, that'd be a fun day though. Like just like a fun follow, like Ole Miss and Tennessee doing different, like all these different like obstacle courses, and like because they're all trying to do different things.
Despise Lane Kiffin so much, I would not enjoy it with him in attendance.
So you wouldn't be okay, like if Heupel left for Oklahoma, because Oklahoma, you wouldn't welcome Lane Kiffin back next year if that was an opportunity.
He's a great football coach. Like he's a good football coach.
I think he's great.
He has some
3 or 4 years double-digit wins at Ole Miss, one of the historically worst football programs in the SEC, doing it in the portal as much as he is, and just being able to reload over and over again. Man, you saw Florida State went 2-10 with this strategy. He just keeps winning. He beat the crap out of Georgia in a way that we haven't seen anybody else beat up on Kirby.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think he's good and he has a lot of great things. A lot of great, I don't know, like qualities in the right word, but like a lot of great things within his coaching arsenal. But I mean, he's got to win more games. He's got to win more games. I can't stand his attitude. I can't stand the Kiffin that presents on social media, which I'm not saying that's him, because I get he's in ways playing a character, but I also think it's an obnoxious character.
And let me be clear, I'm not advocating to replace Heupel with Kiffin. I'm just saying if Heupel did leave for Oklahoma or something that opened it up, like, and they hired Lane Kiffin to replace him, I would just be like, I think that's you replace one top 15 coach with another top 15 coach.
Just take away his phone. His phone it's like one of those sat phones that like the DOD has. Like it can only call certain numbers, and those numbers are recruits, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, he has a son named Knox, right?
Listen, part of it is he won't admit it. If he openly came out and said, I would do anything in the world to be back at Tennessee, like right now, I need to give him a hard date before the job opened, I would consider him less annoying. I hate that he dances around it. It's very clear that dude would come back to Knoxville in a heartbeat. And I don't know what happened exactly in the Auburn deal. He's so spiteful. I think he didn't take it because the report got released. That dude was going to Auburn, and he 100% pulled a Tommy Tuberville. You're gonna have to take me out of this place in a pine box. My man was on that first jet from the Egg Bowl to Auburn, Alabama. And I respect the spitefulness, because I'm the same way. I would have done the same thing, but I think it was a spiteful move to say, never mind.
We'll never know.
We'll know soon enough. I think he'll have a memoir well before he's retired.
I'd read it.
Oh yeah, for sure. We need a tell-all from Joey Freshwater.
Well, it's a great oral history from a friend of the program, Ryan Chempert, over there at Rock Cup Insider on the Kiffin era, or the Kiffin departure, I should say.
See, that's a good point. Lane Kiffin retweeted that.
Mm-hmm.
That man name searches more than anybody.
But I also think it's a good sport, man. Like, because some of it's not great. Like, I think he shows he's a good sport. I think he dishes and he takes it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
I think he actually quote tweeted it and was like, "Good story."
No, yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, he's definitely grown as a person. I think if anybody couldn't look back on how he handled the situation at Tennessee, and I'm not saying he directed like Ed Orgeron to do that kind of stuff, but obviously that's a guy working under him, presumably working at the directive of the head coach. If you couldn't look back at that and think how awful of a situation that was and how awful he handled it, then you haven't grown, you haven't matured. Because I'm with everyone else. Like, I would 100%, if I'm in different shoes, if I'm the USC head coach and Tennessee comes calling, if they called me on September 1st, I'm leaving. Peace out. I probably would make sure, if I wanted any kind of relationship with those players, that, I did it the right way. But also, when you leave, like that bridge is burned. You have created your number one enemy. So
it'd be interesting, man. I don't know what the reaction would be. I know it would be for Pearl.
I
don't know what it would be for Lane.
Well, and here's the thing about Tennessee fans. By, let's say he got hired in December. By August, everyone would love him. Like, that's just how Tennessee fans are. Look at Butch, look at Jeremy, Derek Dooley before that, and look at Heupel now. You always have that faction that they just want to be miserable, but for the most part. And I'm probably in the same boat because I ride with my guys. I thought the Donnie Tyndall hire was incredibly stupid. That was the most miserable year of Tennessee basketball I've ever experienced. And I went to a lot of Buzz Peterson games, a lot. And that was awful. But I rode with Donnie and I can't remember the big dude's name, Justin something. Loved him. They were my guys. I ride with my guys, Chase.
Like the Chase Thomas podcast.
Yeah. Tony Vitello is out here coaching a 3-3 game with Queens, but I ride with him. They fired him today. I wouldn't be upset. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't want to think I'm serious. I don't want people to think I'm serious. And by the way, they have tied it up 3-3, bases loaded.
There you go.
So
they'll be fine.
He heard me. He heard me. He got it right. Appreciate you guys listening to this Home and Home. Next week we will be on the Chase Thomas podcast. Before we get there, though, Chase, tell them where they can find you this week.
ChaseThomasPodcast.com, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every single day. We've got loaded shows like the good folks, Caleb and Landon, on the feed, and sometimes Joe Niblick as well on these Tuesdays that go up on Wednesdays. But yeah, just jam-packed. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel, Chase Thomas Podcast. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts, and subscribe on YouTube. Full episode, shorts, clips, all that good stuff on our channel each and every day. So lock in.
You better be that spring game's coming up.
I'm ready.
I better do wall-to-wall coverage of the spring game. Dissect everything.
Wall to wall, like drop it. Like I just leave. It's a running bit on our Monday show with Ryan where I'm like, hope you're ready to talk about the Tennessee linebacker room. Sweet 16 gets a back seat, man. We're talking Christian Gass. Can he crack the rotation at Leo, buddy?
I love it.
Yeah.
You're a football guy.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
I can't. I think about it every day.
That's fair. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back next week. You guys have a good one. You as well, Chase. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.